Hey guys, Cliff Ravenscraft here, and I want to share with you just a little insight as to what I've been up to lately. So, many of you have heard about the Free the Dream conference, right? Well, we have another one coming up in September 2019 called Free the Dream over at freethedream.live. But anyway, I've been working on the fact that there is now an online version of Free the Dream, an online course version that you can go through. And to demonstrate the value of the Free the Dream online course, I'm giving away the opening session, like the opening video to Free the Dream, the entire program, the most important message that's the foundation of the Free the Dream message. I'm giving it away for free. In fact, you can grab it right now at mindsetanswerman.com/free session. mindsetanswerman.com/free session. Now, I've been getting a tremendous amount of response from people who have gone through that, and they're like, oh my gosh, mind blown. I can't believe how much this drew me in. Go check it out, mindsetanswerman.com/free session. You'll find out what the buzz is about. But anyway, what I've been doing is for those who have signed up for free access to the Free the Dream opening session, I invited them to join me for a live webinar. And the idea is not necessarily to do a traditional webinar, but to actually do, well, for me to put into practice, to demonstrate the value of the Free the Dream training. This whole idea about belief systems, but even taking it a little bit deeper and saying, listen, there's much more to the Free the Dream message than just this opening session, which is incredibly valuable, as you know. Of course, those who have seen it know. But there were a total of 6 messages that make up the overall Free the Dream message. And so in this webinar, I open it up by sharing just a few additional insights to whet their appetite for just the additional amount of value that's included. And then I said, and here's how I can demonstrate it for you. Is there anybody out there who's struggling with some sort of mindset issue? Whatever you got going on, let me know. And one of the people on the webinar wrote this. I'm going to turn over here and read this. He says, I teach university level math and grading almost destroys me, and I don't know why. I watched your Free the Dream video, and I know that I have a BS problem, which is a belief system problem, but I can't identify the beliefs and thoughts that I'm having that's leading me to want to run away. I experience it many times per year in my job, and I want these feelings gone. So here's a university professor who loves to teach. He loves his students, but marking the papers is what he calls it, and that's why I share that. These grading the papers or marking the papers is something that, quite honestly, he takes an entire day to do something that should take an hour or 2 hours. And in effect, what he has is so many students that it should take him a total of 3.5 days to mark or grade all of these papers. But because he doesn't like to do it, because of how it makes him feel, he actually puts it off, allows anything and everything to distract him. And as a result, what should take 3.5 days can take a week and a half to 2 weeks. And so he says, Cliff, is there anything you can do to help me? And of course, his idea was, well, maybe I can solve this problem with just the belief system issues that you talked about in the opening session. And of course, there's more to getting the change and to actually changing your behaviors, changing the way that you approach the things that you do, and changing how you feel about certain things. And so in my one-on-one time mentoring with him, while we had a live audience watching this whole process, I was able to also introduce him to the idea of gaining leverage, which of course will come out a little bit in our conversation, but also the important 3 beliefs that have to be in place for anybody to experience change. Number 1, you have to believe that you can change, that you're responsible for the change, and that you must change. So those are 3 beliefs that you must have. We talked about leverage, and I also talked about this idea called the formula for happiness. Now, this guy right here says, I want these feelings gone. And with that, I decided to say, hey, are you interested in joining me live here face to face? People will be watching, but I'd love to bring you on face to face if you're willing to come on camera and mic and talk to me about this. Maybe we can turn things around for you. And this, my friends, is what happened. There you are, Robert.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so Robert, let's talk about this for a minute. So you are saying that you're a university professor, and one thing right now that you hate is actually grading your papers. Is that right?
Oh yeah, great. So I mean, at the beginning, so I've been doing it for more than 10 years now. In the beginning, I thought what it was I would see somebody do a stupid mistake that I warned them not to do, and I would get frustrated by it the first time. And then I
Okay.
would see the second time, and the third time, and the fifth time, and the 10th time, and the 100th, because I'll be marking 1,000 papers in one sitting. And so I used to think that it was just because I was viewing the whole class as one person. Like, why aren't you listening to me? I just corrected this. I used to think that, but it's been now 10 years, and it's just grating on me to the point now. So I had some success this term. The most success I've had recently, which was I set the goal and the impossible prayer to say, God, I want to be done by Monday night. And this was 4 days or 5 days. And that was the thing. It was the thought of being completely done was so exciting that it did really pull me to it. And it was a pull goal. And I got it done. It took until 2:15 in the morning, but I got it done. But it's just this thing where I'll sit down, and I've tried setting small timers where, let's say I'm only going to do this for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. And I'll find myself going onto Facebook after 30 seconds, a minute. And I'm like, come on, what is going on here? So I haven't been able to figure out what it is.
Okay, so I think I understand. Let me just communicate to you what I'm hearing so I can make sure that I understand. So as what you're saying is that when it comes to grading these exams, and it's exams, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to grading these exams, what you're experiencing is the fact that you allow anything and everything to distract you because quite frankly, it's not something you want to do. It's something you hate to do so much that anything, I mean, it's kind of like, I prefer going out and getting a root canal this afternoon than to sit down and start grading these exams, kind of. Is that what you're experiencing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and your goal, your dream, the desire is for you to say, hey, this is a part of my job. It's required. I know that. I don't want to leave my job, but I definitely don't want to keep putting this off. I want to be able to have the self discipline that's necessary that says, hey, this is currently taking me 3 to 5 days to get through all of these exams. It really should only take me like 4 hours. Is that what I'm hearing?
So realistic is probably in the realm of 8 hours of
Okay.
work.
But,
And that's
but
actual marking time. So that's straight marking and no breaks at all. So in reality, like, a 2 or 3 full-time days with some
okay.
with some breaks in there and distractions in there, that would be awesome. Like if I was able to focus for 2 or 3 days, just do that, get them done, that would be doable. But
But right now it's
that's
taking how long? Like the worst case scenario, how long has it
oh,
taken you?
2 weeks.
So it's taken you 2 weeks to do something you should be able to do in 3.5 days.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And so your desire is to do this and enjoy doing it and getting it done within 3.5 days.
And I've called this my dream job for years. I absolutely love the job. It's the only thing is the grading. It's the only thing that kills me.
Okay. Great. This is wonderful. I love this scenario. So this is, of course, now the thing is you only have the benefit of so far of seeing the first session, which is the belief system. So first of all, you obviously are thinking, what are the beliefs that cause me to refuse to do this? And you've already uncovered the fact that there are some things that it's like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, repetitive and stuff like that. So there is some belief there. Now the reality is every time you're doing these exams, how many times a year do you have to do this, or how many times a semester?
This semester is the worst it's been in a long time. I only had 2 courses, which should be a beautiful, amazing term, and but I had 5 midterm exams and 2 finals,
Okay,
and so I was marking almost all the time.
so the thing what do you believe you are doing when you're like? Describe to me in your mind what is the purpose of you grading the exam?
Well, they need to know where they're at, and they need to be evaluated where they're at. And this is the reason we had 3 term tests in one course this year. The goal of because we keep failing so many of these students. So the goal was, okay, let's get them more feedback, be able to correct them sooner, right? And And so I know they need it, and I know so many of them are willing to listen, but it just grates on me so much.
Okay. So it grates on you. What do you believe about the fact that it grates on you? Is it really is that the only thing, the fact that you feel like you're telling these people the same thing over and over again and they're just not listening, they're doing the same thing over and over again? Is that the only thing that grates on you?
There's certainly the pointlessness of it, where I'll feel like I know, like I've done this now so many years. I know the common mistakes, so I make sure to talk about them in class. I make sure to point them out in the notes, and they still do them over and over and over. There's the sheer just ridiculousness of it, where like it's not that they missed the target, they're in the second ring or the third ring. No, they're pointing the wrong way. They're
Right.
going the opposite direction from the dartboard. They are nowhere near the target, right?
Okay.
And it's just like, come on. I love teaching, and I love pouring myself into these guys to do whatever I can to help them change, and they're nowhere near where they need to be.
All right. So first, what if you believed that every time you graded an exam and you realized that even though you have been through this before, you know where people are missing the mark, you made a point to try to spearhead it at the beginning through your teaching, but for whatever reason, they did not take heed, and therefore, when they take their exam, you find out they didn't even hit they're not even hitting the target board, let alone the bullseye. It's like they aim in the wrong direction. What if instead of being upset by that, you see this as an opportunity? It's like, wow, okay. Every time I see this response, it clues me into the fact that, well, it didn't get through. And this is an indicator that there's an opportunity for me to help this student so that they don't fail. That I'm glad that I figured this out now, and I could sit here and do something about it as a result. And is there anything, by the way, that you can do to follow up with the exam? Like anybody who has quote unquote missed the mark so far, is there something that can be done to rectify this, like this misunderstanding of the target, of where that target should be and where they should be aimed?
Well, at this point, we just finished finals, so the classes are done now.
Yep. No,
But the
but that was you're saying though there was exams before this one where they made the same mistakes. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything that you can do that when you grade those first exams, that once they get that grade and they realize that they're shooting in the wrong direction, is there anything that you can do outside of just giving them the grade that, hey, you totally missed the mark here? Is there something that you can do to give them a strategy and a plan to make sure that they actually succeed in a different way, other than just saying, okay, let's talk about this in class? Is there anything else that you can do?
So this is the crux of everything I do. Right, every term, I sit down and say, okay, I'm going into this new course. What can I do differently? Because literally, it's not unusual in a first year calculus course to have half the students fail, and it's like there's so many issues with the knowledge they're coming in. They don't know how to do grade 8 math, let alone grade 12 math. And so they're coming in and they're so completely behind, and I do whatever I can to pick on. But that's the question I ask is, okay, I know this is what they're going to produce. I know this is what the average person is going to do. What can I do to change that? And then when they screw it up and the exam comes around, and I come and talk to them afterwards, like, okay, guys, what can we do to make this different? What can I do to inspire these guys to actually want to study and spend more time and ask more questions? And I make myself more available via Skype and Zoom and all these different things, trying to find ways to inspire them to want to, and they don't want to. They don't want to enough.
Ah, well,
And
that's the issue, is that you have students that don't want to. So the question is, there, by the way, you can help people achieve change in their life even if they don't want to, if you get enough leverage. But the question isn't necessarily the techniques and the amount of time that you're offering. And this actually does come to the full discussion of the session that I tried to give just a brief overview of today, but is covered deeper in the actual online program, the session on creating change that lasts. It's about getting leverage. So for you, it's not it's not how much direction that you're giving them, and it's not how much access to you that you're giving to them that's the problem. The fact is that they simply don't have any leverage. They don't have any motivation to pass that test. They don't have any motivation to be pointing in the right direction. The calculus for them, for many of them, it was something that was required, and if they fail it this time, they'll maybe try it next time. Maybe they can just get a D and pass or whatever. Just get that credit and move on. So what they're missing isn't necessarily your ability to teach them. What they're missing is the leverage of understanding what pain are they going to associate to getting anything less than a C or above. And if there's not enough pain for that, then there's no motivation for them. So what they're missing is leverage, not education. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is all the effort to focus on ways to teach them is going to be useless unless they actually have that leverage.
That is exactly right. They have to have the leverage. For them to be able to do something that they don't want to do, they have to have leverage. So in essence, what you're teaching, you're a math teacher, right? I'm going to tell you something that will transform your ability to get different results. You need to understand that you are a math teacher second, but if you want to be a successful math teacher that gets these kids to get better grades more consistently, you'll have to become a psychology teacher first. Basically, in anything in life, what success in passing tests for calculus, for example, it's 20% strategy. So it's 20% the things that you're teaching them, and it's 80% mindset. Why should I bother? So, for example, I mean, you think about all the people out there who are overweight and struggling physically because they know that they need to change something in their life. But what do? Does anybody out there who's really overweight, do they really lack an understanding of what it's going to take for them to get a better physical body? No. You can offer them all the free Zoom and schedule, the after school sessions, everything you want. But until they associate enough immediate, unbearable, massive amounts of pain to the idea of not losing weight or not passing that test, they're not going to do it. There has to be some kind of pain that is a real emotional experience that they genuinely, truly believe. And if you can't convince your students that they will experience pain by not getting a C or above on their tests, or if there's not enough immediate pleasure from getting a C or above on their tests, they won't try. It's not your teaching, it's your ability to convince them of the leverage, to get them to have the leverage.
Convince them that they will experience some sort of pain if they don't get a C.
Yeah, Stephanie says the pain is having to have them retake the class. But the thing is that for some of them, they're like, well, maybe I just change my major. I mean, it's just easier to just change my major. I'm just not. First of all, you can't get somebody to pass also if your students have the belief that they can't do it. So that's another part of this. This is why I said you have to be a psychology teacher first. So before you can start teaching your students the technical skills of how to perform these math functions, you have to take the students who don't believe that they can and convince them that they can do it. You have to take that student that says, there's no way I'm going to pass this class. I have no idea why I'm here.
Well, what's interesting is we actually have lots of students on the other side who they've just come out of high school with a 95, 97% without even trying, and they don't see how drastic the difference is, right? And they don't see it even until they get the first test and they get a 30%. Like it's literally that drastic. And then when the first one happens, they don't blame themselves, they blame me. Oh, Rob's just a horrible teacher because I'm clearly a god of math. That's what they're thinking. And so it takes them 3-4 tests. And so there's many courses, in fact, where I've taken the viewpoint that if at the end of the course I've convinced them that it's their fault they failed and not my fault, I won.
Well, the problem is that you're trying to convince them by the end of the course that's the thing. So what did I say? That for somebody to create change that lasts, what do they need? number one, they believe that they must change. All right. For your students to get a C or above, they have to believe that they must get a C or above. Otherwise, they're gonna miss out on tons of pleasure, or they're gonna experience lots of pain. So for you to be able to see them have success in getting a C or above, they believe that they must do it. Not that they should do it, not that they want to do it, but they'll do anything on earth humanly possible within, the moral guides of their own moral background. They will do anything to get a C or above. They have to believe that that is an absolute must. That's number one. And the second one, they have to believe that who's responsible for the C or above.
Yeah.
They have to, and it's not that you have to believe that. They have to believe that they're responsible. They have to believe that, hey, I'm so convinced that I must get a C or above that even if my teacher is an incompetent fool who has no ability to educate me on this whatsoever, I will go and find YouTube videos, other places. I will find some kind of after-school program, some other geek out there who can teach me this. I will do anything because I know that I'm responsible for getting the C or above, not my teacher in his ability to teach me.
And I do tell them that, but I need to convince them of that somehow.
Telling them something and then convincing them that it's true is a whole other system. Until they believe it, remember, right now what you're trying to change is the results. All right? And the results, the thing is you need to change, to get different results, you have to change their actions. And the thing is their actions are the fact that they're just not applying themselves. It's not that they can't do it. It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. It's a lack of motivation. It's a lack of leverage. See, the thing is and it has a lot to do with what they believe. If they believe that I can actually get through in life and I'll never need anything more than the calculator on my iPhone, why should I care about this class? That's their belief. And so until you can change that, you will not change the actions. And and if you don't change the beliefs, if you don't become a practical psychologist and become excellent at being a psychologist, you won't be able to change those results.
Okay, so that's awesome, and I love that. That is still talking about the results. So, but then how do I deal with these issues in my head that I'm freaking out at this marketing?
Well, so first of all, you have to decide why do you want your kids to succeed? What is your biggest why?
Well, honestly, it's the maturity that I got that took me years to get. It was in my first year of my master's when I finally hit a prof that refused to let me get away without coasting. Right, I was the guy who came out of high school doing almost no work, came into university, and I was working harder than I'd ever worked before, and I was still playing 30 hours a week of Warcraft. Right, doing because I didn't have a work ethic because I got everything in high school without even trying, and that got me pretty far because I was talented. I hit my master's, and my prof, my supervisor, refused to let me get through without giving everything I had. Right, and so what that meant was I had to learn a lot about what I was capable of hard work wise. I didn't realize what I was capable of, and I want these students to see that. And I want these students to actually have that epiphany. If nothing else, I want them to be able to leave my class feeling like they learned something more than calculus, because they're never gonna, a lot of them are never gonna use calculus again. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? This amazing prof, when you got your master's, did you fail his first test and realize you needed some help in this area?
On my amazing prof that changed me in my master's?
Yeah.
Well, he was my supervisor, right? So I'm writing sections of my thesis, and it's not making him happy. And
okay, so it's not making him happy. So how soon did you get that feedback, and that he said, okay, dude, this is some things has got to change for you? How soon into the process did that happen?
So I would spend 3 days on the introduction. I'd give it to him. It was crap. I'd spend 3-4 more days, and I would give it to him, and it was still crap. And we'd get to draft 7 doing this, right?
But you got feedback pretty much as soon as you turned it in. You got feedback pretty quickly, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now the thing is this guy was relentless. He was not going to let you coast, is what I heard you say.
Yeah.
So you got feedback quickly, and you knew that in his eyes it was crap. It was not acceptable. You're capable of much more of this. And just imagine what I love about this, what you're saying, what made this guy so amazing is that he was relentless and would do whatever it takes.
He would do
So
whatever it took to get me to change. Yeah, yeah.
okay, so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you a very dangerous question because I don't have a good relationship with you, but I'm going to ask you, why are you not willing to be as awesome of a teacher as that person? Because you're not willing to, because what you've just said is this guy was relentless and he was willing to do whatever it took. And I bet you if he had the option between getting those grades examined within 3.5 days or taking, a week and a half to do it, I bet you he was so relentless that he would have been able to sit there and do those things within 3.5 days. So these kids got that feedback sooner rather than later.
Day and a half. That guy's insane. Day and a half.
Dude, so what is it that makes that guy, are you willing to be relentless? Do you want to be a teacher that has that kind of impact and influence in kids' lives? Or are you going to allow yourself to coast on Facebook instead of doing those grades because, these kids, they don't care. I can't change them. Isn't that truly what you're believing?
So what you're saying is as I know what it would take. I know what it did take for me. And so the question is just, am I willing to put that much effort in?
Are the kids, well, let me ask you this. Are the kids that you're grading, are they worth you taking 3.5 days to get those exam results so that they know instantly where they need to course correct? Or are they not worth it? That's the question. For you as a teacher, are they worth you getting it done in a timely manner, or are they so not worth it that if it takes you a week and a half to 2 weeks to get those grades exam, so be it. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I think I do. It's that I'm willing to put my own interests and my own desires, my own comfort higher than them. Certainly not being a servant leader. It's certainly not denying myself for them.
And what if actually, and in Free the Dream, I talk about this thing, talking about a class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4 behavior. What if you could turn grading papers, right now for you, grading papers is what we call a class 2 behavior. Let me just see if I can pull it up here for you real quickly. A class 4 behavior, this is something that you do that it doesn't feel good, it's not good for you, it's not good for others, and it doesn't serve the greater good. All right, a class 3 behavior is something that feels good, but it's not good for you, it's not good for others, and it does not serve the greater good. Most of the things we struggle with in life are what we call these class 3 behaviors. What you've got going on, grading exams for you right now, is a class 2 behavior. It does not feel good. That's for you. It does not feel good. It's good for you because it helps you become a more effective teacher if you do it quickly and efficiently and get it done. It's good for students, and it serves the greater good when you get this done in a timely manner. Grading papers for you is a class 2 behavior. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So a class 1 behavior, the best behavior, is one that serves the greater good. It's good for your students. It's good for you, and it feels good. All right? Mm-hmm. So the question is how can you turn grading those exams into grading those exams from a class 2 behavior into a class 1 behavior? And it has everything to do with exactly what we talked about. It's about getting leverage, associating massive amounts of unbearable pain to not grading them within the time frame that you know you should be grading them. Those things should never take you more than 3.5 days. Anytime it takes you more than 3.5 days, you should be experiencing massive amounts of unbearable pain. The fact that, oh my gosh, by the fact that I'm skipping the next 2 hours to browse on Facebook or to do anything else that distracts me, the next time I get distracted, I need to feel the immediate unbearable pain of the fact that I really could care less about these kids.
Wow. Yeah, I need to internalize that feeling that consciously say I'm choosing to do this. Like, I think these students are less important than this.
That's exactly right. They're not worth my time.
Yeah.
That and you need to do more. It's like, is there more? There's a whole lot more we could go into. But also, you also need to tie in leverage is also tying immediate pleasure. So you need to think about this. Man, technically I could wait a week and a half, 2 weeks to get them this exam result. But dude, that's a week and a half that they don't. If I get them this in within 3.5 days, they have so much more time to course correct. That gives me so much more time to sit down with them, to be relentless in their life. And there's so much pleasure of having that impact. I want to have that same impact as that one professor who really turned things around for me. I want to be relentless. I want to pour into these guys, and I want to tell them, this is why this is important. This is why you should not coast. And if I can have that impact, and I realize I may not be able to have this impact in every single kid's life, but man, how many kids do you serve in a class?
Well, hundreds. So in one class, you'll start with 140-ish.
Okay. So out of 140 kids, if I could have the type of impact that professor that you're talking about had on you, if you could have that kind of impact on 5 students that absolutely believed they could never get a C or above in your course, but because you got the grades back on time, and because you were relentless and you came along and you helped them find the leverage that they need, the discipline that they need, and you were able to convince them to apply themselves to something that may not overall be like important, but it's not so much that it's math or calculus that's important to you, it's the discipline. And I'm going to tell you that the principles of what you're going to learn with working with me and getting an A in this class, that's going to help you achieve success in every other area of your life. Mm-hmm. If you could just have that kind of impact on 5, 10 students every semester, just imagine that by spending 3.5 days getting it done gives you the opportunity to show those kids that they matter that much, that you're relentless, that you care about their success, and that's the pleasure you're going to get by not putting it off. And you're going to get that pain of saying, well, by putting this off for 2 full weeks before they get the things, if he doesn't care how fast I know whether or not I did good, then why should I?
So the willingness to do that for those 5 students.
Yeah.
Right, to be that kind of person for those 5 students. And if that's all I get, that's the only result there is, then awesome. Because you're right. 5 students change lives would be absolutely incredible.
That's exactly right. It has to, see, the thing is you can't convince everyone. It's just not possible. The thing is I here at this point, I don't even know how many other attendees are on this webinar. I do. I see there are 7 other attendees. But at this point, I had completely lost track of the fact that anybody else is watching us right now. Right now, it's just me and you. And for me, all I care about is, am I going to be able to influence you in such a way that you can, next time when it comes time to grade those exams, that when you do it, it becomes a class 1 behavior. That's my desire for you. I want you to sit there and it's like, listen, I know that people are going to be missing the target. I don't care what I taught them. The reality is that, until this first exam, it's going to let me know, okay, who do I need to work with? Who do I need to focus on? And how am I going to, but then I'm going to search through this entourage, or this big bombardment of all these exam results of all these people who missed the target. And I'm going to be looking for those 5. I'm gonna give everyone the opportunity, but I'm gonna look for those 5 that are gonna be the people that I'm going to turn their life around. They may never become a math teacher. They may never do anything with of importance that requires calculus in their life from this day forward. But I'm going to help somebody who thought they would never be able to get above a C in my course. I'm going to help them get an A or a B. And it's not necessarily going to be teaching them math. It's going to teach them self-discipline. It's going to teach them about how important all of this stuff is. It's what you told me that professor did for you.
It's like glass ceiling of, I'm working hard, and you're working 10 hours a week because that's the most you've ever worked. And wow, 10 hours a week, that's incredible. Like the thought of a 40-hour-a-week job, like calling campus your job, that's just so foreign to kids these days. Right? Yep. The thought of I'm going to work 40 hours on school? No way. And in fact, it should be even more at that point, right?
So when I tell you that by putting it off 3.5, just judging from the little bit that I've learned about your past experience and what drives you and why you want to be a teacher. Now think about this. Taking something that grading these papers that should take 3.5 days, but getting distracted and having it take a week and a half to 2 weeks. Is that acceptable to you anymore?
No, it's not.
And are you beginning to sense the amount of absolute pain internally that you'll feel by the guilt and the shame that you would feel as a result of putting it off any longer than 3.5 days?
So again, it's not the practicality of it. It's the, who am I going to be, and who am I going to show them? No, what am I going to show them that I think about them?
Yes.
And who am I going to be that I'm the person who is showing that I care so little about somebody that I can spend 1 hour marking over a 2-day period.
Yep. It's the same thing. What are they doing what were you doing when you were spending 20 plus hours a week doing World of Warcraft instead of working on your thesis thing that you turned in and it was crap?
Mm-hmm.
You communicated, it just didn't matter.
Right.
But when you learn that, wow, this maybe does matter. That's the kind of that's what you want. You want to have that impact and influence in people's lives. And the thing is this: you have to understand that the sooner you get those kids the results, the sooner that they learn that they've missed the mark, the sooner you can help them start turning it around.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Stop putting that off. And also, this is something that is in one of the other ones. I'm going to teach you about the formula for happiness real quick. The formula for happiness is when your life conditions equal your blueprint of the world. All right? It's how you feel like things should be. And I'm going to tell you that every time that your life conditions do not equal how you feel things should be, you will be unhappy. And that's one thing that I've heard, that for you, when you're grading exams, one of the reasons why you hate to do it so much is because it makes you so darn unhappy. And what you have is you have a belief of what should happen. You believe that when you grade these exams, that a majority of your students should have seen marked improvement, that a majority of your students should have been able to go from a failing grade, and up 2 letter grades as a result of it. A majority of your students should now all of a sudden be drastically concerned with their grade in your course, and they should be putting so much effort in. And because your life conditions do not equal that reality, you're unhappy.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So what you've been working on so much is changing your life conditions, meaning changing the number of people who actually get better, improved passing grades on your exam. And what I want to encourage you to do is to change you want to continue to work on changing your life conditions if it's within your power, and I think you ought to. And that's why, certainly doing what you've been doing, trying to say, how can I do better at teaching math? But I'm going to tell you that you also want to start teaching psychology as well. But the other thing is also changing your understanding of or your expectation of the end results. Say, listen, I realize not everybody's going to do this, but instead of trying to get 100% or even 90% or even 80% of your class to pass, the question is this: what if for you the life conditions is that I want to see 5 people who failed on the first exam get an A or B at the end of the course. That's for me will be happiness. And I won't be able to judge the progress of that unless I get these exams graded in the time frame that I know I can get them graded, so I can get those students that stuff as fast as possible, so I can be relentless in their life and serve them and help them so that I can get them up into that grade. And if I can do it for 5 or 10, then that will make me happy. That's not changing the life conditions so much as it is changing the blueprint of how you believe it ought to be.
Yeah. That makes sense. Changing expectations.
So if your expectation is that 80% of my class passes and you fail, then you'll always be unhappy. But if you say, well, how can I measure an improvement? 5 students, that I can invest in that, have their life change, and it'll change everything in their life. That will make it happy. And knowing that grading these exam papers in a timely manner helps me get that result for those individuals. It will be worth it. That's what you need. You need something that's not easy. It's something that's worth it. And it'll help you turn, all of this will help you turn grading papers from a class 2 behavior into a class 1 behavior.
Yeah, I've been loving the topic you've been talking about quite a bit, is do for some what you wish you could do for everybody, right?
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Rob, I hope that's helpful to you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And
Totally unexpected.
well, that's exactly what I wanted to do. It's more this first webinar of, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this webinar, and what we just did here is exactly what I want to do with these webinars. And I'm going to try to figure out how I can get into this a little bit sooner. But knowing now that I had a little bit of that foundation of sharing the leverage part was helpful in our conversation. So I wish you great success. And here's what I want to hear from you. So you just wrapped up this semester, right? When is approximately when in 2019 will be your first exam that you have to grade?
This one, it'll be closed. It'll either be the end of January or beginning of February.
All right. So end of January or the beginning of February. I am expecting an email from you, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com.
Okay.
And I am looking for an email that said, I did it. And I want you to email me when you successfully have completed the grading of all of the exams within 3.5 days.
Okay.
Cool. Are you committed to doing that?
Oh, absolutely.
And are you excited about doing it?
The thought of doing it is insane. Like, that would be incredible to be able to get that kind of weight off me. So to be able to have that off of me and do that for the sake of who I want to be and who I want to show my students they are.
That's exactly right. And how much they matter.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, man.
Thank you so much.
And that, my friends, is how things went down between myself and Rob through his one-on-one mentoring session during that live webinar. Now, I worked with a couple other people. In fact, I had an incredible amount of experience working with some folks who were struggling in all kinds of different areas. But I wanted to share this one with you. And after the webinar was finished, I emailed everybody who attended, personally thanked them individually. And in my message to Rob at the end, I said, P.S. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in late January/early February regarding the successful completion of the grading of those exams in 3.5 days. And he says, ha, Cliff, absolutely. He says, I've already set a reminder on my phone to update me in January, or to update you at the end of January. He says, I'm really looking forward to marking now. And that's a weird feeling. Now, get this. What did he say? I teach university level math, and grading almost destroys me, and I don't know why. And he says, it just makes me want to run away. And he says, listen, I want these feelings gone. It almost destroys me. It makes me want to run away, and I want these feelings gone. He says, I love my job, but I hate this. And then a couple hours after the one-on-one session, he actually says, I'm really looking forward to marking now, or grading. And that's a really weird feeling. And then he put the little smiley emoticon. Guys, this is what I'm doing today. This is what the Free the Dream message is all about. And the reason why I chose to share this one-on-one mentoring session with you is because this has nothing to do with running an online business. Yes, I help a lot of people who run online businesses. Yes, I help people who have online businesses break through to whole new levels of success in the things that are holding them back from effectively pricing what they're worth, or pricing them in such a way that allows them to have success financially in their business. I help people in a lot of areas when it comes to business. And yes, I even help people in their physical fitness and health journey as well. But here was a college professor who loves his job, who loves his students, but he was literally taking 2 weeks at times to do something that should only take 3.5 days, and it's something that he hated to do. It was destroying him. He wanted to run away, and he wanted those feelings gone. And after the conversation I just shared with you, those feelings are gone. Well, we'll see. Time will tell, right? Time will tell in the end of January if he actually does it in 3.5 days. But if he does the work that I talked about, and if he goes through the entire Free the Dream message, which really is only 6 sessions that he needs to go through, it will radically transform the way that he approaches those grading sessions from this point forward. It'll turn it from a class 2 behavior, something that he doesn't enjoy. It's good for him, it's good for his students, it serves the greater good. But right now it's something he does not enjoy, or prior to this conversation he did not enjoy. But all of a sudden, with a little bit of work, with a lot of leverage, you can turn it into something that you love. And it's true for anything. By the way, if you haven't done so already, head over to mindsetanswerman.com/free session and get in on the first free session to the Free the Dream message. I promise you it will make an impact in your life. Head over to mindsetanswerman.com/free session today. Talk to you soon. Until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.